Okay, let's get the flow of the Maimer. So the flow of the Maimer is the pasuk Boruch Elokei Yisroel min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam. That's the way every bracha was concluded in the Beis HaMikdash, the second Beis HaMikdash. The one who made the bracha. And the people responded, not simply Amen, but Baruch Shem Kved Malchus Elam Vod, as the Mishnah explains. But what is the meaning of min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam? From the world to the world, or forever and ever, which is the usual translation. But the literal one is min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam, from the world to the world. So there's two biyurim, milamata l'mayla, this world, the next. And that's the simple meaning, because it was enacted to repudiate or reject the contention of the tzedukkim that there's only one world. So it's saying, no, there's this world and the next world. That's the simple pshat. But then there's the Piddush of the Zohar, that it's milamayla lamata, from the hidden world down to the lower world. And he gave the spheres. Basically, we're talking, the two extremes are Keser and Malchus, or Keser Chachma, Bina and Malchus. Bina and Malchus. Okay, that's the first ois. So the Tzemach Tzedek says, obviously, both the Troni reconciles the two, which the Maimon will explain, because there's already, as he did in the first paragraph, there's two stages. There's Milamata Lamaila, and then the Amshocha, as a response, Milamaila Lamata, from above to below. As we see in Birchas Koyanim, it begins with Kosev Boruch and ends with Aniyah Varachem. So the Kosev Boruch is the Yidden blessing, Aniyah Varachem, God blessing, Yidden meaning the Koyanim. So the Amshocha Milamata Lamaila, and then Milamaila Lamata. That's a reconciliation. They are both Hamshachas. That's basically the reconciliation from the Tzemach Tzedek. Now, he adds in Ois Beis as follows. What's the diuk of Baruch Elokei Yisroel, Eden? So the end of the conclusion of Ois Beis, both paragraphs, is that Yisroel conveys three things, all drawing on one essential truth. And what are the three things, the 3 points that he makes? That A, Yidden are higher than Olam, the highest Olam. B, Yidden are lower than the lowest Olam. Yidden are the Keli, Ner Yisroel, Ner Havaya Nishmas Adam. And thirdly, Yisroel is Tiferes, which connects it all, which is the center. What's the explanation? Because, as we said yesterday, Yid is rooted in Atzmos, and therefore contains everything. But more to the point, all of Ishtalshalos is because of the Yid, and therefore it's all present within him, and he's beyond it. Implicit here is, this is why he's able to be Mamshech and to be Maila, manipulate in the most virtuous sense Ishtalshalos. Ishtalshalos is hard and fast. Its nature. It's locked. The Yid is mamshech, and he elevates, and he draws down. Playing around with Ishtalshalos, leave it well enough alone. No, the whole point of Ishtalshalos is that the Teva, which is the source of Teva, is a Yid to be mamshech alikus, the Eibishter higher than Teva. That's just in the general terms. Now is Gimel. This was the Tzemach Tzedek's beer. That now he introduces the Rebbe Rashab. This Maimer is said in connection with his Imaledes. 106 years. This is the 106th Kuf, Kapitel Kuvav. Yeah. Kapitel Kuvav. So the Rebbe Rashab adds in the beer of the Tzemach Tzedek, and he says, first of all, he brings the Piddush of the Zohar, Milamayla Lamata, from Alma Diskasev, Alma Disgali, but then adds it, the Pashtus, it's Milamata Lamayla. As Rashi in the Gemara explains. And then the Rebbe added Lahoyer that that said the Rebbe Rashab has a shaila in Nigla on the Sefer, the Baal Hasora Maimoris. Should you repeat the question? I think we should, yes? Let's go through it methodically. So what is the question on the Baal Hasora Maimoris? He seems to be saying something which is not in the Gemara, not in the way Rashi explains the Gemara, not in the Mishnah. Because what does he say? He speaks in Kabbalah language. He says that min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam doesn't start with the second base of Mikdash as a refutation to the tzdukim. He says min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam was a nusach that David the Melech already established in his Bezdin. And the meaning is from Adam Arishan to Moishe Mashiach. So he's saying it's been around from day one, and the Rebbe Rashab's question is no, but Pashtas Gemara was introduced in Bayesheni as a refutation and leaves the question unanswered. That's basically the question. But to unpack the question in more detail, so the Asara Mamori, the Baal Asara Mamori says that this Loshen was already there from the outset. And then, the beginning of Bayesheni, it was removed. They stopped saying it. Why? Because Bayesheni was missing these 5 revelations of Elikos. It was missing V'ad ha'olam, missing that Madrege, like the 4 tastes of Moishe Mashiach. And therefore they stopped saying it. But then they reintroduced it in order to counter the tzdukim. And the connection is because Olam Haba is Bina, and Bina is the Hey Ilah, the higher Hey of Shem Havaya. And 5 things were missing in the second base of Mikdash means Bina. This Gilui, this Me'en of Olam Haba was missing. That was missing. And therefore they didn't say Min Olam V'ad Olam, referring to the Gilui of Bina, of Hey of Shem Havaya. But then they reintroduced it. And he says, and the Rebbe Rashab says, this seems to be Tzorich Iyun, that Rashi, explaining the Mishnah, the Gemara, says that the Bais Rishon, he said, Min ha'olam, not Va'ad ha'olam. And then it was Ezra that said, Ba'isheni min ha'olam va'ad ha'olam. That's the history. First Min ha'olam Bais Rishon, and then Ba'isheni min ha'olam va'ad ha'olam. Simple. But the Asar Mamori says, no, it started min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam. Then by Sheni, they stopped saying anything. Looks like maybe they just didn't say ad ha'olam. It could be they just didn't conclude it because that's referring to Olam, Bina, to the He'ilah. And then they reintroduced it later. So it leaves the question unanswered. Okay. Now, V'yesh L'hoisif, Rabbi Yesh L'hoisif now. Yes, we started it yesterday. We'll start again. So again, let's not lose the big picture. It's all to explain, which you did already, how min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam, it's complementary and harmonious. We're going to go deeper. That it's both first milamata l'mayla and then milamayla l'mata. That's the general thrust of the Maimer, to explain these 2 movements. Yeah, we're clear, basically. Yeah. Some feedback, guys. Yeah. Yesh L'hoisif b'negeh l'masha kosav tzemach tzedek b'pirush masha kosav asar maimoros. So we're going to add that the Tzemach Tzedek explains, quoting the Asar Maimoros, about the 5 things that were missing, and therefore they didn't say ad ha'olam, referring to Olam Haba. She'Rabbi Sheni shechosa b'hei dvarim, that since in the second base of Mikdash there was missing 5 revelations of godliness, and they are, so we just mentioned them, they are, we mentioned most of them yesterday, I think I forgot 1 or 2, so anyway, I have it here. The 5 things are the Oren, obviously, the Kapoiris and the Kruvim, that's what, the Oren, the Ark cover, the Kapoiris and the Kruvim on top of it. Number 1. Number 2, the fire that descended, the Eish that descended from above to devour the Korbanos. 3, the Shechina. 4, Ruach HaKodesh. And 5, the Urim V'Tumim. The breastplate of the Kohen Gadol did not respond did not manifest godliness. These are the 5 things. What's the difference between Shechin and Urim V'Tumim? At any rate, that's the 5 inyanim. So, therefore, that's the ha'elah, that's bina, that was missing in Ba'isheni. That's the ad ha'olam. They didn't say ad ha'olam, and then they restored it. So, that's the Sodom and Gomorrah. So the Tzemach Tzedek explains, and the Rebbe is going to add to the Tzemach Tzedek's explanation on this inyan of the missing 5 inyanim, the missing of the ha'elah, and why they didn't conclude in the Beis Rishon, the outset they didn't conclude the ad ha'olam. So they did say min ha'olam, but not the ad ha'olam. It was not curtailed. Yeah, curtailed bracha. Okay, so again, the some Amoras is saying the Chatchila they said min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam. Then they only said min ha'olam, and then later by Sheni only min. Not ad ha'olam, which is olam haba, which is bina, because missing the 5 things, ha'elah, then they restored it. Okay, dehine. So now to add further explanation to all of that, the Rebbe adding to the Tzemach Tzedek, and that is as follows. This is the Rebbe's explanation. Dehine mevubel pt.3. The Rebbe says, being beyond the Rosh Hashanah, it's all explained the Beis HaMikdash. Choli is b'Shabbos, b'Mikdash you take him avli b'mdina. So Rosh Hashanah fell on Shabbos. This is by Sheni. They blew in the Beis HaMikdash, but not in the rest of the country. Mishum Gzeira the Rabbi, for the fear that someone carry in the Shus Rabbi. When was this? Gzeira zu ha'isa b'zman by Sheni. This was during by Sheni. Now, so what's the explanation? They didn't blow shofar, but they did on Shabbos. They didn't, but they did in the Beis HaMikdash. The basic question is, how the unspoken question here is, how is it possible? Because such a far-fetched fear, shemevatel, such a big inyan of Tiyah Shofar, the Reise, Mamshech, they wish this Tainug in the creation. The answer is the Kivin Shased Shofar Rebbeina. What's the inyan of Shofar? Meloshin Alter explains the Shifra and Posh. She made the baby beautiful. Meloshin beauty. That's Bina Tainug Bina, and in Bina Shebezer Nimshach Mizgal Bechnes Tainug. It's in Bina Davka. That's in that Tainug is expressed. We said yesterday that Chachma is euphoric, but it's not Tainug. It's not a sustained pleasure. But Bina is Tainug. The gishmak in how this answers that detail and the development of it, and all of its pratim and the expansiveness of the idea and the depth of the idea. That's tainug. It's expansive. The nature of tainug is expansive. Chachma is the opposite. Chachma is bittul. That moment of euphoria, the person's transfixed. It's more awe. It's more, there's a deep, untapped pleasure there, but it's not expressed in terms of tainug, not at the chachma level. In the discovery level, it's not tainug, it's bittul. But bina is tainug. So it's galus atik, where's it? Atik, which is the parallel of atik, is the Eibish's tainug, our tainug is bibina. So therefore, they didn't blow on Shabbos because Tkiyah Shofar will not override Shabbos, and we're going to blow because we have it anyway. Shabbos is day of Tainug. Right. So why did they blow in so 2 things. Why did they blow in the Beis HaMikdash by Sheni, and why did they blow in Beis Rishon everywhere on Shabbos? This Alter explains. Mizman Beis Rishon taken become Shabbos. But they did blow the shofar on Shabbos and during the period of the Beis Rishon. The fee because Shamshachas had Tainug the shofar, Rosh Hashanah, because the Amshach of Tainug that shofar elicits, it's a higher level than the Tainug of Shabbos. So now back. So we're missing that. It continues. And the whole inyan of Tainug is just not accessible. It's missing the higher hay. That's why I was missing 5 things. What was this gal in Bai Sheni? The lower hay, that's Malchus of Hashem's name, not the higher name. Push the language and doing Bai Sheni didn't feel God's pleasure. He's delighting in us so much. It was more transactional, Malchus. Why? Because of Avodah slipped, so God responds in kind. But in Bayis Rishon, you felt the tainug, the geschmack of the Eibishter, the geschmack of Yiddishkeit was tangible and manifest. Not so in Bayis Sheni. They got enmeshed and entangled in politics and so on, and all the various chatoyim. And so in Bayis Sheni, it wasn't drawn so much, not like it wasn't there at all. God still delights in us, but it wasn't nimshach so much. We said before that the Tainug is revealed in Binah. So that was when Bisman Bayis Sheni. Overall, you didn't feel, it wasn't nimshach so much, the Eibish's Tainug. But however, that's another country at large, of B'mikdash, at this holy place, how you technically did blow. Because in the given should be say Mikdash Atzmoin, even though we're holding it the lower hay Malchus, but how you chaylim lahamshich gilo yataino gamli the Malchus. Doesn't elaborate. Heitato. This is the union of the Eved that there is 2 levels of Eved. The Eved Poshet, and there's an Eved that has a tainug also, he has a gishmak in seeing the will of his master fulfilled. So even though he's an Eved, and that's what Malchus is, Moishe B'Poel, there's also the Avodah that can be also there, a higher level of Eved. It's a pasuk in Yecheskel. Like the mother is the daughter, the mother is Bina, and the daughter is Malchus. There's a kesher. Even though Malchus is cut and dry, Malchus is Kabbalah Soil, but there is the union of Kabbalah Soil with Gishmak. In Bayis Rishon, the whole overriding experience was Tainug. And then you did. You started with Tainug, and therefore you did. In Bayis Sheni, it's more starting with the Kabbalah Soil, Ma'aseh B'Poel. But that can also be in the Beis HaMikdash, that Kabbalah Soil was permeated with Tainug. Whereas in the rest of the country, it was more Kabbalah Soil. Why? Because it wasn't revealed. Because of the Matzav of Yidden. To have such a Kabbalah Soil with Gishmak, with Tainug, wasn't so much shaykh in the rest of the country. What were you left there with? Pure Kabbalah Soil. All right, we understand the beer. So in Bayis Rishon, was the whole Matzav B'chlal was pleasurable, delightful, both God to man and man to God, God to Yidden and Yidden to the Eibush. And Bayis Sheni was only in the Beis HaMikdash, and even that was a Kabbalah Soil Dika. It was Hey Tata, Malchus, Ke'imo, Kebita, that's connected to Bina, not the pure revelation of Bina. We're clear? Yeah. Let's continue. Hang on. So therefore, this so far was the Alter Rebbe. Now there comes the Rebbe's point, it seems. That even by Sheni, that they're missing the 5 things, hey, ilo. Just 1 second. So it comes out, the Rebbe is answering based on the Alter Rebbe. So they did mamshech tainug in Bayis Sheni even through Ma'aseh B'Poel, even they were holding on at the level of Malchus. Comes out that will explain further why Bayis Sheni, but we said Mikdash Atzmo Yo'omer Min Ha'olam B'Ad Ha'olam. They did say Min Ha'olam B'Ad Ha'olam. Now what the Maimon doesn't say is what triggered it is the tzdukim. In Bayis Sheni, it doesn't explain. No, I'm looking past ahead. No, but we have to address this, because what is he saying? That in Bayis Sheni originally they only said Min Ha'olam, which is Olam Hazeh, Malchus. because they're missing va'ada olam. Then when the tzdukim started to spread their heresy, so they said min olam va'ada olam. And now that we're saying va'ada olam means the darge of what? Of bina ilah, that means, therefore, as we just said, that even in Baisheni, through the avodah of Kabbalah soil, there was also the union of Tainug. What comes out is that what triggered that is the tzdukim. Let's just thinking aloud. What did the tzdukim say? There's only this world. There's only this world. That means, in the day, there's Tainug in the likus. Tainug in dvarim ruchniim. Tainug in dvarim gashmim. That's the end of the story. So that compelled the chachamim to dig. That's like tshuva. That's stumbling block. Compelled the chachamim know that even in Eilam Hazeh, and even in Bayis Sheni, and even though the course is Behelim, and we're not holding it at the level of Bayis Rishon, relatively speaking, a Yid is shaykh to Tainug and the Gishmak and the experience of the course. And that was compelled, brought to the fore by the challenge of the Tzdukim. So they did say Min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam again. So thank you very much, Mr. Tzduki, that you brought out the inyan of what? Min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam, even in Bayis Sheni. Yeah, that seems to be the fact. That is the fact. That seems to be the explanation. Okay, Ois Dalet. Huh? Yeah. So the Rebbe Rashab continues. So this last little word was the Rebbe's word. That min ha'olam v'ad ha'olam and Bayis Sheni was not simply a refutation of tzdukim, but it was acknowledging that even in Bayis Sheni is shaykh the avodah avodim, but avodim with the gishmak and with the tainug, and to feel, as Sid explains, that this darga of the what's the evet's tainug. He sees that the odin has pleasure, so he has pleasure. The tainug of the odin of the evet is the tainug of odin. Dafke in the Kabbalah, so because he carried out what he wants, so he sees his smile, so he's lit up. Mamshich, yeah. So the Rebbe Rashab continues. Sorry.
Connected to today's Hayom Yom.
I'm sorry.
Connected to today's Hayom Yom.
I haven't seen it. What is it?
The mitzvah's connection and the simple person connecting to that's his only connection.
That's today's Hayom Yom.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar. Yeah. So the Rebbe Rashab continues in the two pirushim, is it this way or that way, and it's both in the complementary. Both are true. And there are two explanations, the word Boruch. So again, Boruch, it seems, means hamshacha, period. Either way. Even though, again, the Chassidus always brings it as going down. Again, the berach, the knee, you bend, you come down. Upon him, but it's both ways. Maybe it still means the knee. Because when you're sitting down, how do you stand up? You need the knee. So but that applies to Boruch. But the other examples of lahavrich, to take a vine, it's only one way. It's only from up to down. Upon him. Here we're seeing that it means both ways. Sure? Lamata lamayla, lamata, from below to above and above to below. Kibir tzemach tzedek, as tzemach tzedek said before, there's both in Yonim. First, Hamshach lamata lamayla, and then Hashem's response. Now comes the Rebbe Rashab's elaboration. Moishe Levayer, he goes on to explain the Pirush of the Boruch Shem lamata lamayla. He goes on to explain the first Pirush that it means from below to above. How does this fit with the words? The words are saying Baruch Havaya. So God is being nimshach. Which way is God being nimshach? Not from below to above, from above to below. Yeah. Hainam shochan l'mayla lamata. So how do we reconcile these words? Boruch Havaya, and that means Minigay ling shemilamata lamayla. That's milamata lamayla. Question's clear. If we just say Boruch stam mela, but Boruch Havaya, it's clearly the starting point is Hashem, and He is being Boruch. So which way is God going? Obviously, He's going milamayla lamata. It's coming down to us. Yeah, that's the shayla. Let's see. He's going to answer it. I don't know. So he says, when he's explaining the Baruch of from below to above, here's the answer. Implicit in our avodah from below to above, precedes it is already Shachem B'Lamayla. That's the Baruch Havaya that creates our Baruch, kind of, right? Our avodah. In order for us to ascend and elevate ourselves and connect, we need Hashem's koyach. We need that ability to transcend, to lift ourselves. Someone who's tied up can't untie himself. Someone outside just got to go, ping, just pull that little string there. Then things can go from there. But you need from the chatchila the empowerment from outside of you, higher than you. So that's the Baruch Havaya, which then immediately, the whole point of it, the point of it is the Baruch to set in motion, the Baruch our avodah, milamata lamayla. And then there's the third Baruch, Hashem's response. So there's the empowerment, the avodah, and then Hashem, the divine response, which he's going to explain later. Let's see inside. So this is the Baruch Havaya, in its simple meaning is the empowerment, the awakening from above to awaken our awakening from below. In order for there to be an elevation, man means mayim lukvim, feminine waters. It's a reference to Malchus. It's a Kabbalistic term to refer to Eden. In order for the feminine waters to rise, that's us. That's to be Amshachim above. In brackets, square brackets, like we see, Friday night. So Friday night is the Aliyah from creation, is elevated from below to above. Before it means that the all of heaven and earth ascends and is incorporated within the likus. So that's all avodah of Shabbos. But in order to do that, you need an insinas koyach. And what's that? Come, my beloved, to greet the bride. The bride is us. That's our aliyah. But in order for the kala to ascend, that's damshochem, my beloved, the empowerment that comes from above, the kras kala towards the kala, to empower the kala. That's damshochem b'lamayla. That's the nesinas koyach, the ability that's granted to us. This is the teichen of the Maimah you all said, basically, before the chuppah. All the details there of the Makiv Dike as achona to the Pnimis Dike and the Aliyah of Malchus. Okay, that's that period. So this is what? The Rebbe Rashab that explains Baruch Havaya. It's not a stira to Baruch being B'lamata L'mayla, because implied in that Baruch is taka both things, the empowerment and the Aliyah. That's all in the first. That's in the first Pirush of Boruch, which is Milamata L'mayla. Kamaykin Moishe be that likewise the Rebbe Rashab adds explanation, but Pirush obeys the Boruch. In the second one, Shehu Milamayla L'mata, that's the classic from above to below. The second Pirush Boruch Havai Min Olam Ad Olam. He says, Shalachadei Avodah Lo Sman B'Srosa D'Letata. after our avodah, azayam shochom bilamayli mokem naili yosef. What we're eliciting is something far beyond the level that was revealed to begin with to empower us. We touch the Eibishter much deeper as a result of him enabling us. Then comes our avodah, and then his response. That response comes from a deeper place than the nesinas koyach. We're clear? So two different dargis. Maybe al zen Rabbi brings masha calls v'ani avorachem. At the end of the whole Brichas Kohanim, the end is, I will bless them, ani oisius ayin. So ani is the same letter as the word ayin. Where does the amshocha, where does the gili, where does the bracha come from? B'chinas ayin, the keser, it's called not ayin because it's completely bottled atzmos. Ayin, the keser, shemishom nimshechas habracha. That's where Hashem's response in the end comes to our avodah from the deepest place in him. Shebracha nailus, or this lofty bracha b'chinas ayin, the keser. Nimsheches only comes at the avodah halom lamatal maila through our avodah from below to above, and that itself comes achar akdam so the result of the Baruch Havaya that empowers us to begin the whole relationship. So v'zeo, and that's the meaning. That's why bracha, the beginning of Birchas Kohanim at the end. Bracha b'rosh yibarech Havaya. Hashem should bless you. This is empowering that we should ascend. Beriboy, the riboy avodah be expansive and successful. That's the zarusa de le'ela la'oir asusa latata. That is Yivarech Havaya. The kibbutz notes chalasim since the beginning is wedged in the end, and the end is wedged in the beginning, but the end is wedged in the beginning. L'chein aliyah the malchos. So where are we ascending to? That's where it started. Let me just see here. No, no. Since the beginning is wedged in the end, and Malchus is the lowest level, so Malchus is rooted in the highest level. So when Malchus ascends, it touches and is mamshich. V'ani avorachem, Pnimius HaKeser, which is higher than the Lechatchili Varechecha Havaya. Clear? Yeah? Because Malchus is rooted there. That's the point of your Maimed. The Sheiresh of Malchus is higher than Zoh, which is Mo'er. That's the whole paradox. The male is Mo'er Malchus. He's the Mashpiyah. Behemoth, her source is higher. And he's Mo'er, her source that is higher than him. That's what we're saying here, that Malchus, the end darga is rooted b'tchilas, and not only Malchus that's rooted in Pinimi, in Ayin, in Keser. But what's Megala that arousal from above to begin with, which is like the male, which is a lower level, which then elicits a higher response from above, a much deeper one. Just the clear geographical or physical language. First, the Eibishter's mamshech is male attribute to me'orer Malchus, to stir Malchus, to arouse Malchus. Then Malchus is aroused and she reveals her source. And what's her source? Pnimius HaKeser, the Etzem, which is Nimshach on both Zoh and Malchus. This is the Teichen of your Maimer, of the Lechadoidi that you said before the Chub. Let's finish the sentence. No, we'll stop here. We'll continue then. I will summarize again what we just said and then bring it home. The two pirushim. Okay, we're clear. Like everything we keep on saying, Chazorah is the only route to go, friends. Pasha Begashim is to remember what we learned and to have, it's floating a bit, to solidify it. Then once you learn it, then comes real avodah, internalize it. At least one word, one letter, one word, one word. Okay, friends, B'ez Hashem, tomorrow, Israel, we're joining us Friday. It's tomorrow Friday. Yeah, tomorrow is 6 o'clock. B'ez Hashem. All right, friends, have a wonderful day and Psudas Tovas. Who was here?